mind, and then we will continue our journey. So, with happy Thanksgiving, let us know little more about mind, even though I may explain it in a very simple words. But if you remember and if you live into that state of awareness, perhaps this may be the last session. You know that I have gone there. I am there. Uh, two or three examples. The first example, camera. Camera is here in with me. I take your picture. Camera doesn't move, but it takes your picture, whether you are near, whether you are far. Right? Now take the example of a smartphone. It talks, but it doesn't go anywhere. It takes the picture, but it doesn't go anywhere. It is one of the higher principles one great master explains in a specific text. And you see that smartphone takes pictures, videos, audios, you can record it. So at present, say for example, it has taken the picture and then it saves the picture behind. Mind does not go anywhere. Mind is like a camera. Mind is like a smartphone. Hey, how are you, Daniel? So it retrieves the memory from the past. It doesn't go anywhere. Remember, can I maintain that awareness that this mind does not go anywhere? Think of it. Think of it. It remains where it is, like smartphone. Now, if I have to talk to you, the smartphone does not run to your country and then says, now I recognize Daniel, let me talk. Do you see that? The mind is like this smartphone. Audio, video, chatting. It is. You see that? Now see that. What happened? The mind entered into the hand and it says, here, I am there, but I can raise your hand. I can see far off objects. I can smell. I can have a fragrance. Can I live into that state of awareness? Are you getting it? Mind does not go anywhere. At a lower level of the practices, we say the mind has gone somewhere, bring it back, it is attached, lot of things. You see that? First thing. Now, mind is like a mirror. Do I see you? Yes. How do I see you? The mind sees through the eyes. So if you are 100 pound, seeing you does not increase the weight of the mind. It does not change. It does not show. It shows. I recognize the height, but it does not give the same height to the mind. Let us go a little deeper. Let us go deeper. You look into the mirror. You see your image, right? So does that image has a weight in the mirror? There is no weight in the mirror. That is the nature of the mind. Because mind is so much obsessed and attached, full of craving, anxiety, reaction. That is why it is not aware of the reality. Are you getting it? The moment we go in front of the mirror, I'm looking smart. Does the mirror look smart? Does the mirror gains weight because you are in front of the mirror? Does the mirror change the color? You are in front of the mirror. Does the mirror show you women? Daniel, if you are a man, that is the nature of the mind. It is that nature when we realize that reflects our real self 24 by 7. Then what happens? Then you are, even if you are angry, peace and happiness both are behind. It is not the pride that is making you angry and agitated. You want to get the things done. You work behind peace and happiness. You speak behind peace and happiness. You think behind peace and happiness. What is first? First is peace and happiness. Then you think, then you speak, then you act. Why? What happens to the mirror when you are in front of the mirror and when you leave the mirror? Mirror remains as it is. No change. In that mirror, the real self reflects. That takes you into a deeper state of meditation. Think of it. But knowledge must be supported by practice, and practice must be supported by knowledge. That will take you to discovery of the real self and awakening. Knowledge alone cannot help. Real self cannot. One of the masters, well, he lived until I would say 82, 83. And I had a fortune to meet this guy. He used to uh, tell a story. Perhaps it may be a real story, but it gives the right message. An African guy went to Britain and he found the mirror because in those days, hundred of years ago, in those days, the mirror was invented there and it had yet to go to African countries. He bought a mirror. He went back to Africa. Similarly, in those days, the wife opens the bag and looks everything, and what this guy has brought for me. So now she looks into the mirror. Beautiful women. Now I see my honey is attracted to this beautiful women. He left the husband's house and went to his father's house. But he took the mirror with her. Couple of weeks passed by and his father got upset why his daughter is not returning to her husband. So he started searching everything. Is there anything suspicious in his room? And he found the mirror. And he saw into the mirror That is what happens every day in our life. It may be a story, but this is what happens in our daily life. So he saw into the mirror and he said, "Now I understand. My beautiful daughter loves crazy old man." Because he's looking himself into the mirror. And one step further, and then daughter, mother also saw into the mirror and said, "Now, at this age, my husband is in love with the old women. What a crazy guy." Now apply this in your daily life. You see this beard guy, maybe you may feel happy, but if the pride is there behind, you hold back. See that. You look your friend. It is not neither friend or foe, nor husband and a wife. It is all happening in the mirror. So at last, this African guy went to daughter's, in-laws house, and he said, "Come on, you guys are all crazy." And then he removed that doubt, delusion. You can say doubt, you can say delusion, you can say thought process, you can say pain, you can say grief. Whatever you want to name it. It hardly matters. That is the journey of meditation. Think of it. So, mind is like a mirror. We lost that transparency of a mirror. You see that in every government we say, where is the transparency? Newly elected president says, now we will work with the transparency. Means what? This mind is not attached, obsessed, anxious of anything in front of itself. Am I right? If I compare it with reference to the mirror, when this mind is attached, obsessed with the objects outside, this mind becomes impure. Purity is required. The moment the mind becomes like a mirror, grace, peace, happiness, love, wisdom starts pouring into our life. Because if I'm attached to anything outside, that object or a person has to leave me. And they always leave me at least for 6 to 7 hours during the deep sleep. That we do not understand. That those crazy relations of this African guy did not understand. Now, I'm comparing both. Are you getting it? It's very simple, but still it is challenging to the mind that is obsessed, that is attached. It is because of the attachment, mind creates millions and trillions of thought patterns. That we will take up last week. How many types of thought pattern? We have to empty the mind. Now, do you want to empty the mirror? Mirror is always You stand before the mirror. Yes, mirror says, okay, here is your image. You leave the mirror, gone. The mind should be like this. In that mind, real self reflects 24 by 7. I'm answering your question, or a query that you asked me. How it is irreversible process. That is the journey. And the journey of meditation is not that when you succeed, it is an irreversible process in your life. That is not the end of the journey. The journey of meditation is that it is expressing and revealing that peace and happiness, love and wisdom here and now. That is the journey of meditation. When we use the word journey, we say here is a destination, departure point, and here is an arrival point, and after that, the end of life. No. Journey of meditation is to reveal. That is why I use the word revealing that peace and happiness. Go back and understand the mirror does not create any impression in the mind, but we create our lot of impression in the mind. Maybe because of the pride, maybe because of the attachment, maybe because of the detachment. And we do not realize that anything we are attracted in this world or obsessed with it will have to leave because they are constantly changing. It is an influx. They have to change. There is no way out. But the mind forgets to act like a mirror. And why it forgets? Because I have a hollowness inside, the emptiness inside. I don't see that peace and happiness in me. So that is how these masters have discovered these principles, how to move step by step to purify the mind, to make the mind like a mirror, allow the mind to reflect the real self. And once that real self compare is $1 billion as compared to a penny, which is a pleasure that we receive with the objects and people outside. Last point. Why I say pleasure and why I compare pleasure with a penny. Today is a Thanksgiving Day. So observe whatever acts you are doing, and in the evening, collect all the units of pleasure. 1 unit of pleasure by eating food, second unit of pleasure by meeting with your relations and friends, third unit of pleasure by receiving a gift, fourth unit of pleasure, and collect all the units. If you have collected 50 units of pleasure today in the Thanksgiving Day, can that 50 unit of pleasure give you 1 unit of happiness? Ask yourself. Pleasure is already gone. It is only happens when you are in contact with that object or a person. Hey, how are you? So we are each other, and after we leave, the mind is already going somewhere else. Oh, you have a beautiful dress. Now the pleasure is gone of hugging and meeting. Are you getting it? Mirror, unit of pleasure, happiness, and that is gone from our life. So, what I see, the real Thanksgiving is to discover that peace and happiness which enters into our mind by grace. That is why we are grateful. Not grateful, Latin word coming from the grace, graciousness. If the mind wants to force the real self to allow the peace and happiness to take place in my life, it will never happen. That is why we say, the real self says, mind, be pure, become like a mirror, and I'm here all the time. I can reflect myself. Don't force me. Forcing means I want to own, I want to possess, I want to get pleasure. That will never happen. That never happens. That is why we say the love, peace, and happiness are earned. It cannot be forced. So when it is not forced, then it becomes a journey of meditation. When the mind lives like a mirror. See, we see that another young and handsome guy, Sam, if he stands before the mirror, mirror does not say that you are most handsome. I will remain attached to you. Even if someone comes, I will not show him or her into the mirror. Can that happen? Is my mind like it? Now become aware. Is my mind like it? I'll give you a lesson and finished. Again, I will come back. Don't be so serious, Sergey. It is in you. It is always with you. It is always with you. We forget it. That is why this teacher, which we are following in our journey on Mondays and Thursdays, what he says, two principle, and then we'll start the practice. I'll repeating the earlier the principle, what he says, yoga chittavritti nirodha, empty the mind of its content. Why empty? There is a lot of dust in the mirror. Empty it. And then what is the result? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The moment you remove the dust, that real self is already there behind the mind. That appears in the mind and it becomes a reversible process. That process is known as awakening. That state is known as awakening. A lot of thoughts are coming to my mind, but I'm holding back last mind. Difference between waking up and awakening. Both in both the words, one thing is common, waking up. You wake up in the morning, you wake up to the same old world of attachment, of detachment, of possession, of power, of pleasure, of anxiety, of duality, and a conflict. This is all it does over the mind. And what is awakening? You awaken totally to a different world, not the old one. You awaken to inner peace, happiness, love, wisdom. That is what is the journey of meditation according to the teachings of our great masters. Let us start our journey.